Sagano Bhunaktu Sagano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Shanti 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 Sadasivasamaramvam Sankaracharyamadhyamam Asmadacharyaparyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudidayet. Good morning, Dr. Brahma. Which where we, I mean, I want to review it,
I
but
think we were on the 12th verse.
12th verse, okay.
11th, I think we just did. And
11 to 13 you did already?
no, we didn't go to 13th. It's
Mm.
still.
Okay, this 12 is long one, I think. So you want to read again? 12?
Yeah, you can start from 12th.
Okay. Because karma yogis and mumukshus, they perform actions as a means for moksha, just as sannyasis do. Whereas those who are not mumukshus will perform action for the sake of results. Karma yoga is primarily for purifying the mind so that the knowledge can be gained, but it is not a direct means for moksha. This is why it is said that karma yogis perform action for the sake of antakarna shuddhi, which prepares the mind for knowledge. Further, Krishna says, Yukta karma palam tyaktva santimapnoti naishtikim ayukta karma kamakarena pale sakto nibadyate. Yuktaha, the one who is endowed with karma palam, the result of action, tektva, giving up, naistikim, born of commitment to a life of karma yoga, naistikim, uh, born of commitment to a life of karma yoga, shantim, composure, apnodi, gains, ayuktaha, one who is not committed to a life of karma yoga, Kamakarena, led by desire. Kamakarena, led by desire. Phale Saktaha, attached to the result of action. Nibadyate, is bound. Yuktaha karma palam, tektva naistikim, shantim apnodi ayuktaha, Kamakarena pale saktaha nibadyate. The one who is endowed with karma yoga, the one who is endowed with karma yoga, who giving up the result of action. Second. Giving up the result of action gains a composure born of a commitment to a life of karma yoga. Whereas one who is not committed to a life of karma yoga, led by desire, is bound, being attached to the result of action. So I'll read this one more time. The one who is endowed with karma yoga, giving up the result of action, gains a composure born of a commitment to a life of karma yoga. Whereas one who is not committed to a life of karma yoga, led by desire, is bound, being attached to the result of action. In this verse, Lord Krishna Lord Krishna explains the meaning of purification of the mind. Such a mind is what is implied here by the word Shanti. Shanti means composure. Is it Shanti? Sorry, not Shanti. Hmm. To the extent that one has a pure mind, to the extent that one has a pure mind, to that extent in his or her degree of composure. So Shanti is the composure. This Shanti is gained because of a certain freedom from raga dveshas that is gained by living a life of karma yoga. Prasada buddhi is an attitude wherein there is a glad acceptance of whatever comes. Whatever comes now and whatever has happened before was taken gladly, cheerfully. This means that nothing is taken personally, either as something that has happened to me or something that I have accomplished. And this is only possible when there is prasada buddhi. The karma yogi does not impute to the self all the omissions and commissions of the past, and with reference to the present, whatever happens is taken as prasada. He or she is not dictated by ragadveshas. So I'll read this one paragraph. The karma yogi does not impute to the self all the omissions and commissions of the past, and with the reference to the present, whatever happens is taken as prasada. He or she is not dictated by ragadveshas. Being in harmony with the order that is Ishvara. Okay. Being in harmony with the order that is Ishvara. As long as your likes and dislikes dictate your activities, you are bound to have problems of frustration, anger, and so on. Because of the pressure of ragadveshas, such problems cannot be avoided. Whereas if you have Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, devotion to the Lord, or an awareness of the Lord as Dharma, you are in harmony with the Lord. This is why there is always a sense of relief when you do something that is right. So this is why there is always a sense of relief when you do something that is right. There is a certain satisfaction because there is no rubbing against the law. You know that is right, and if this is done, you find you are in harmony. There is no conflict. This absence of conflict is shanti. On the other hand, if you go against the dharma in order to fulfill your raga dveshas, conflict, ashanti will result. So, when you're in harmony with the law, it's shanti. When you're in conflict with the law, it's ashanti. The yukta referred to in this verse is the karma yogi. So we learn the word Shanti and then the Yukta. Yukta referred to in this verse is the Karma Yogi, the person who performs action in accordance with the Dharma of Ishvara or Dharma that is Ishvara. Hmm. Dharma of Ishvara or the Dharma that is Ishvara. We saw how if Dharma is taken as the mandate of Ishvara, there is a master and master servant relationship wherein you become the servant and the Lord is the master. Then you simply do what you have to do and what is expected of you given the situation in which you are placed. In this way, there is conformity to the natural order, Ishvara's order, which gives you Shanti. And if you look upon Dharma as Ishvara, And if you look upon Dharma as Ishvara, which is how Dharma is presented in the Gita, you become a contributor. As an individual, you are endowed with certain means of action, hands and legs. So, as an individual, you are endowed with certain means of action, hands and legs, for example, and with these you participate. You are not a mere witness, you are an active participant in the creation, which itself is Ishvara's order. In keeping with the order, there is a huge offering, yajna, going on, and you contribute to it through active participation. This active participation is nothing but doing what is to be done by you and when it is to be done. Oh, nice. If something is to be done if something is to be done by me right now and I do it for Ishvara and not just for fulfilling my ragadveshas, I enjoy a certain attitude which gives me composure. I give up the results of my action in the sense that there is no reaction on my part, whatever be the result. I simply accept the karmapala as prasada. So one is dharma as Ishvara, and this other one is Ishvara as um, the order, like master and servant relationship. Dharma of Ishvara, dharma that is Ishvara. Hmm. So whatever happens is acceptable to me. I'm sure you guys discussed it already. So being harmony with the order that is Ishvara, that's what we read. That was harmony with Ishvara. Then what happened, whatever happened, this is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, right? Whatever happens is acceptable to me. Since the action is not done for the fulfillment of ragadveshas, sorry, since the action is not done for the fulfillment of ragadveshas, there is no attachment to the actions and their results. The karma yogi does not desire that a given thing should happen or that some other thing should not happen. The person does not impose this kind of pressure on himself or herself. This pressure is something that you can happily be without, since it is always possible that what you wish should happen may not happen, and what you do not want to happen can certainly happen. The only way to deal with such happenings is to have the attitude that whatever happens is acceptable. Otherwise, you will always have to cope with the sense of failure because, to use the vernacular, you do not call all the shots. And since you do not call all the shots, you had better accept things as they are and do what you can do. This is the attitude of the karma yogi when he or she says, I perform actions for Ishvara. And with this attitude, Buddhaya, Buddhaya is having given up, with this attitude, Buddhaya, they're having given up the results of action, the person gains composure. Shantim apnoti, apnoti. Okay, so the person gains composure, shantim apnoti. This is what is meant by purification of mind, antakarna shuddhi. Antakarna shuddhi is nothing but shanti, as an leisure, an inner leisure, because there is a glad acceptance of what is. If you do not accept your past, for example, one second. If you do not accept your past, for example, who is going to suffer? Whether anyone else accept your past or not, you must accept it because you are the one who suffers if you do not. Of course, there may be people who do not accept your past, for whom there is no forgiveness for the sins of others, but you must accept it at least. The glad acceptance of the past, whatever it is, brings about Shanti. So it's accepting the past. So whatever it is acceptable to me. Whatever happens is acceptable to me. Karma yoga is not a technique. There is no technique involved in gaining this Shanti. If it were born of a technique, it would not last long because any technique wears out. Either the technique becomes monotonous or it becomes inadequate in itself to significantly change you. है? अच्छा. The person. Techniques can be useful, but you cannot.
पनीर तो बनना पड़ा है.
Dr. Savita, can you mute yourself, please?
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Techniques can be useful, but they cannot change the person. A restless person continues to be restless. An angry person continues to be angry. And just as technique will not give you the kind of shanti being discussed in this verse, so too situations cannot give it to you. This is because the situation itself changes or it eventually becomes monotonous. In either case, the shanti is lost. For example, when you go to a beautiful beach, you become happy, a state of mind that is also shanti. But this happiness depends entirely upon the situation. How long will you be able to enjoy the sand and so on, unless, of course, you are a beach bum. Even a beach bum cannot be that happy when there is no surf. What happens here is similar to the principle of diminishing utility in the economics of Adam Smith. When you are hungry, when you are hungry, food is very valuable, but when you are not hungry, it is no more as valuable. As the utility of the food diminishes, so does your value for it. Every situational shanti is governed in the same way. Karma yoga is not a technique like pranayama. For instance, karma yoga is not a technique like pranayama. For instance, pranayama can give you a certain shanti, which you can utilize to understand yourself and your mind. Thus, it is a useful discipline, but it cannot give you the shanti being discussed here because you cannot do pranayama all the time. Unlike a technique or a discipline, karma yoga is not a particular action. There is no particular situation in which you follow karma yoga. Karma yoga is your life, and as a karma yogi, you are a devotee whose devotion is not spasmodic. It is not something that comes every now and then goes away. A person who has Ishvara Arpana Buddhi is one who is abidingly devoted to Ishvara, taking things as they come. And when such a person performs action, he or she conforms to Dharma. This awareness of Ishvara is what brings about the change in the person. Yeah. So we talked about it not a technique, but it is life. It's your life. Relative Shanti and Swarupa Shanti. Okay, relative Shanti and Swarupa Shanti. Naistikim, Naistikim Shanti, a composure, Shanti born of a commitment, Nishta, can be understood either as relative composure or absolute composure. Depending upon the interpretation of the word nishta. Nishta can be yoga nishta, commitment to the life of karma yoga, or it can be jnana nishta, abidance in knowledge. The shanti born of yoga nishta will be relative shanti, meaning that there is a certain degree of composure which helps you gain the knowledge because of the purity of the antakarana. Characterized by the relative degree of shanti, the person gained jnana nishta, as a result of which the person gains absolute shanti, para shanti. Thus, there is an order here: yoga nishta shanti, followed by jnana nishta shanti. So that's a relative and absolute knowledge. Shankara explains this order in his commentary of the verse. First, there is a Shanti gained by Antakarna Shuddhi or Sattva Shuddhi. Sattva being another word for Antakarna, the mind. When one has Sattva Buddhi, as a result of which self knowledge is gained, there is Atmajnana Prapti. There is a Atmajnana Prapti. When knowledge is gained, there is a Sarva Karma Sannyasa, renunciation of all karma. Atma being free from the sense of doership, the person knows, I perform no action. This renunciation of action by knowledge is in fact jnana-nishta. And the one who has this knowledge of the Atma has Swarupa Shanti. So, and the one who has this knowledge of Atma has Swarupa Shanti. There being two nishtas, both are pointed out here as the basis for shanti. The shanti born out of knowledge and shanti born out of karma yoga. One is relative shanti and the other is swarupa shanti, is absolute shanti, para shanti. So many names, right? Yoga nishta shanti and jnana nishta shanti. And then you are going on to this relative and swarupa. Just as there is relative ananda, happiness, and ananda that is very nature of Atma, Swarupa Ananda. Swarupa Ananda is my nature, meaning that I am free from all limitations. I am fullness itself. I am the whole. Whereas relative ananda is experimental happiness dependent upon the disposition of the mind. Antakarna Shuddhi results in relative Shanti, whereas knowledge, jnana, gives you Swarupa Shanti, that is your nature. Between gaining the relative Shanti that comes from a life of Karma Yoga, and gaining the Shanti that is Swarupa of oneself, several stages mentioned in verse 7 of this chapter have already occurred. Vishuddhatma, Vijidatma, and so on. It was also said that the wise man was Sarva Bhuta Atma Bhuta Atma, the one who knows the self as the self in all beings. This knowledge has to take place to convert the relative Shanti to Swarupa Shanti. So Vishuddhatma, Vijidatma. Hmm. As we read along, we kind of forgetting a lot of things. What happens when a person does not follow Karma Yoga? What happens when a person does not follow Karma Yoga? Okay, so this is a question again. The second half of this verse is an example of how the Gita sometimes states the positive followed by the negative in order to emphasize the positive. The first line reveals what happens when a person is committed to a life of Karma Yoga. to emphasize the value of karma yoga. The second line of this verse tells what happens when a person does not follow this lifestyle. Such a person is referred to as ayukta. Here, one who is not endowed with karma yoga, ayukta. The ayukta performs karmas dictated by ragadveshas rather than for the sake of Ishvara. He performs karma to fulfill his likes and dislikes and not because of any consideration for the natural order. Thus, the ayukta perform action only for his own sake and fails to recognize the cosmic ecology, the divine ecology, and the order that is there. So, fails to recognize the cosmic ecology, the divine ecology, the order that is there. This person is completely oblivious to the fact that there is an order, a dharma, and thus perform action strictly to fulfill his desires, karma, that's a karma kramena. Because of the commitment to karma, meaning ragadveshas, the person is committed to the results of action, karma pala, rather than to the dharma, that is Ishvara. Thus, we have two opposing situations: actions performed for my own sake to fulfill my ragadveshas, and actions performed for the sake of the world, loka sangrahartam, or for the sake of Ishvara, loka sangara, okay, sangraha, sangrahartam, okay, loka sangrahartam, or for the sake of Ishvara. When a person is dictated by ragadveshas, consideration for the right and wrong is set aside. The ayukta remains bound, nibadhyate. So nibadhyate is bound. The ayukta remains bound, nibadhyate, to karma and karma pala, to punya and papa, and therefore to the cycle of birth and death. Even in this life, let alone in future lives, the person is bound by sukha and dukkha, right? Sukha dukkha. Person is bound by sukha dukkha, being tossed from one to the other all the time. As the barometer of the mood goes up and down, today the person is up and tomorrow he's down. Deflation and inflation are always there. Why? Because the ego is so huge, so obese, that it inflates and deflates constantly. Therefore, Krishna says to Arjuna here, may you become a karma yogi. Once you become a karma yogi, you will gain the shanti that will lead you to jnana nishta. So, Lord Krishna explains this jnana nishta in the next verse. So nice. So he gave you the positive aspect and the negative aspect of not being a karma yogi. You did the Manana already, Dr. Brahmara? We're going to do the Manana now. Or anything you want me to repeat?
No, we didn't do Manana for the whole verse. We didn't. We can do it now.
Okay. One quick question. This Vishuddhatma, Vijidatma, right? Can you say the meaning of this one? I forgot. Vishuddhatma, Vijidatma.
Vishuddhatma is the one who is pure, who has the Antakarana Shuddhi.
Hmm.
Vijitatma is the one who has his body, mind, senses under control.
Hmm.
Basically, one who has Shama and Dama. We learned this a few verses before. Vishuddhatma, Vijitendriya, uh, Vijitatma.
I was wondering, like, that's I don't know how so quickly we forget things. Oh my God. Uh, anyway, I'll go back to this. So,
This one, yeah. This is, maybe you missed that session.
hmm, which, which one? The seventh one?
I don't remember the exact verse, but
Seventh verse, I think.
mm,
Seventh verse when I read it.
actually, it will help if we, in the beginning, when we start the session, to chant the verses from the beginning till where we are. So then it's like a recollection of not just the verses, but also the we'll follow the train of thought in the chapter.
Sure, sure.
That will be a good idea.
No problem. Tomorrow I'll do that.
Vijitatma jitendriya. Sarvabhutatma bhutatma. Don't remember the whole verse, but it is describing the characteristics of a karma yogi, of a yukta.
So Vishuddhatma, Vidatma, Jitendriyaga, Sarva Bhutatma, Bhutatma, Kurvan api na lipyate.
Lipyate. Kurvannapi na lipyate.
Vishuddhatma is a purified soul. Vijidatma, one of control mind. Jitendriyaga is one having all senses under control. Like he said, it's under Shamadama. So Vishuddhatma must be the purified soul, means Antakarna Shuddhi. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Antakarana Shuddhi. And then Vijitatma is the one
Who has the control of the mind.
self-mastery of the mind. Yes. And then Vijitendriya. That is the Dhamma aspect, where he has the senses under control.
Right. Okay.
See, with respect to Ishvara, the whole equation between being a karmi and a karma yogi, is recognition of Ishvara.
Right.
Right? And how do we recognize Ishvara? Why should we recognize?
The Dharma, right? The
It's because, see,
Sarmanya.
do we always know the result of our action?
Not really.
If we do A, are we always sure that only B will happen? The result? No, right? So
No.
the result can be what we expect to happen, something more than what we expect, something less, and something completely opposite.
Right.
So the result is not,
Yeah.
we are not aware of the result at all. And the result is not in our hold, in our control. So there is something that is determining the result. So with respect to the result, we are ignorant. We are not omnipotent as a jiva.
Right.
So, but there is something higher, some power that is involved in running this whole creation. This whole universe is run with that order. We may call Ishvara by different names, whether it's the divine or higher power, the supreme, but there is that something that is embedded in creation which has because of which the whole thing is running. If you look at all the scientists, the end of all their research and everything is there is something higher. Einstein said that, or most of the other scientists said that. So they come to realize that we are not in control of everything. There is something supreme that is actually running the whole show. And that aspect of creation, that the one that is omnipotent, that is omniscient, who knows everything, who's all powerful, all those six virtues of six aspects of Bhagavan, all of that is Ishvara. So once we recognize that, then from being a karmi, from just being a dharmi, just practicing dharma, we'll become a karma yogi.
Right.
And the aspect of relative shanti and absolute shanti. Relative composure, absolute composure. One is the outcome of practicing karma yoga is relative shanti. But then there is still the non recognition of the self. There is still that little doership. So that when practicing jnana yoga with jnana, then that becomes
Absolute Shanti.
absolute shanti. The one that a Vidvat sannyasi has, the one that a jnani has, the one that a Jivan Mukta has. Nothing at all can shake him.
Yeah. So that's what Vidish sannyas and
Vidvat sannyasa.
right. Two different Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma. These terms like so this first part of the line, the like Yukta Karma Palam Tyaktva Santi Napnoti Naishtikam.
Naishtikim.
Naistikim, right, sorry.
Naishtikim.
Born of commitment to a life of Karma Yoga. So then the second line is Ayukta
Ayukta kamakarena
Pale Sakto Nibadyate.
padyate.
How nicely in the line itself gives.
Contrasting, no?
Yeah. So somebody who is not committed to Karma Yoga,
Mm.
driven by their raga dveshas, their actions are driven by the raga dveshas, they reap their results of action like a papa punya that's bound
Yeah.
by this, right? So that's what, so that's a result of who is not following the dharma or karma yoga also has been described, but here the emphasis is to understand the positive aspect of karma yoga. So he brings it in this line also, right?
The first line describes what is the outcome of
Karma yoga.
practicing karma yoga. The second line describes, in contrast, if you do not follow, what will happen?
Hmm.
The
Like that is
basically,
true that that you're going to, I mean, in the samsara life, that pairs of opposites, right?
yeah,
Sukha, dukkha, or this being inflation, deflation, and all that
yeah.
mentioned there. So as a part of that, yeah, that is you're going to be in that. Driven by desires, you may not realize it, but then you're going to come in the same birth and death cycle again and again. And um, that is that end result of it.
See, the person who follows karma yoga
Mm.
has the shanti, the composure, centeredness, and he remains free from conflict in his mind. Whereas a person who's not does not follow karma yoga does not have this inner composure.
Mm.
There is no centeredness. He is like a yo-yo. There are situations, it's spasmodic. There are
Mm.
situations where he's happy that bring him happiness because what he wants has happened. Then he's fine. When what he does not want happens, he gets upset and frustrated. And then he loses his composure and he is not free from conflict. There is that inner conflict.
That Shanti is not there.
Shanti is not there.
Ashanti.
Ashanti is what he's left with. He's
Mm.
maybe Shanti sometimes, Ashanti sometimes, but there is no constant, steady Shanti is not there.
Yeah, like that beach example he gave, yeah, he may get Shanti for a little bit and then
Little time.
there, and then you're not going to be happy. Like it become monotonous, like where they said the karma yoga is not a technique.
Mm.
It's a life.
It's your life itself.
Kind of live a life that you accept as things are, like, like you mentioned, that five top the words, sorry, words, what do you call that, happiness program thing. And
Yeah, the
as
5 points, yeah.
you accept whatever the result is, so you accept as they are. So you're not looking forward to happiness or unhappiness. You're happy, almost, I mean, you're equanimous. So in that way, for karma yogi, he take the result as prasada. Whereas here, the non-karma yogi, he accepts it as if the result is not positive as expected, you get frustrated, angry, depressed, or whatever the negative spiral that we read in the second chapter. That's what will happen. Sangam tektva. Vyavstitva. So please share. I know we probably have anything left. They really explain so well in this paragraphs, Being harmony with the order, that is Ishvara. So when you are harmony with the Ishvara, you are very peaceful. When the work is done, you feel shanti. Whatever happened, like, acceptable to me. And Karma Yoga is not a technique. And relative Shanti and Swarupa Shanti. So many names, right? What do you call that? Relative Shanti and absolute Shanti. Is Swarupa Shanti or Para Shanti? Sorry, absolute Shanti or Para Shanti. Sarva Bhuta Atma. That one who knows self as the self in all beings. Sarvabhutatma. What happens when a person does not follow Karma Yoga? So we did that. So this Nishta, right? Jnana Nishta. So I'll read the last paragraph and then I'll go to the next verse. We have time. When a person is dictated by ragadveshas, consideration of the for right and wrong is set aside. The ayukta means bound, nibadyate, to karma and karmapala, to punya and papa, and therefore to the cycle of birth and death. Even in this life, let alone in future lives, the person is bound by sukha and dukkha, being tossed from one to the other all the time, as the barometer of the mood goes up and down. Today the person is up and tomorrow he is down. Deflation and inflation are always there. Why? Because the ego is huge, so obese, and it inflates and deflates constantly. Therefore, Krishna says to Arjuna here, may you become a karma yogi. Once you become a karma yogi, you will gain the Shanti, and that will lead you to Jnana Nishta. So, Shanti is being the relative Shanti, and that will lead you to Jnana Nishta. Loka Sangrahartam. for the sake of the world. So anyone wants to say anything before I go on? Sorry, I'm trying to.
Jai Gurudev, Brahmaraji and you both explained so well the whole, it's already summed up. Just in addition to that, like when you are having that complete harmony, that arjava, when you have accepted as a karma yogi that whatever I have to do, and whatever is happening as per that universal order. So that active acceptance of the results of your action, you gain that param shanti, and that you will not have that duality, you will not have that conflict, which is inner dialogue which is going on. Your acceptance to the situation, to the people, to whatever circumstances is very, very active, and you remain that in that joy. That's what, when you look at all the Sadgurus, you see that composure on their face, you see that compassion in their eyes, and you can feel that Param Shanti in their presence. And that is that whatever you get, Swamiji has given the beautiful example of a beach. Like you love beach, but how much you can enjoy. If your attitude is not there, then you will start finding fault there also. Oh, surfing is not there. Oh, the people made it so dirty. Oh, it is not like that. So even if your attitude is not acceptance, then even in the most favorite place of yours, at the peak of mountain or at the beach, wherever you are, you will not gain that, you will not have that inner peace. And that will be, I think, very beautifully explained here. So Yukta, the person who is Yukta, he is in complete harmony. Viveki, the one who is Ayukta, he is a Viveki. He is not able to differentiate. Jai Gurudev.
Very nice, Balaji. So the
Very
your
good.
you
Uh,
read for your
one question I have,
Hmm.
Ajay Gurudev. The example which Belaji just quoted, like that of the beach, uh, is it not the example was like it was fine relating to that, but uh, isn't the example of beach related to the exposure to our senses, that it is, if it is our sense organs are exposed repeatedly to the sensual or this pleasures, then at a time, like a time would come that it reaches its threshold, and then you are disinterested. I was relating that example with that, like what, how, till what time can you experience that feeling of the feel of that water, that beach. So it is a limited period. So it is one time will come that you will be disinterested in that. It is like the exposure of the sensual organs has happened, so that now you are not interested in that. And similarly, when someone is like he's addicted to something, and he keeps on uh, taking those things, or having that experience, one time come that he suddenly drops that I don't need this more, or he withdraw himself from that. I was relating it that way. I don't know. Uh, am I right? I just wanted to know that is it how we can relate that example of a beach this way, or is it some different way of looking at that example.
Yeah, I'm sure you can, what exactly is said is here that anything, it doesn't have to be beach, anything else, it get monotonous or boring after a while, right? Like
Yeah,
even eating gulab jamun, we give that example all the time. We eat one gulab jamun or two, you taste it, or two, oh, it's good and all that. After two or three, you become all, oh,
yeah,
make you right. So like that, what basically said was it's not like a life. That karma yoga is more like a it's a like a it's kind of not you do one thing and forget about it. It's just a way of life. But whereas that we do action for the sake of enjoyment, or you want to avoid doing things for the sake of that, based on the raga dveshas, then that pala is going to be very whatever like he said, it could be less, more, or not what you expect, or more than you expect, and all that stuff. So that is the thing, it's just one of those things, whether you go to the beach or the temple or whatever, you are go to the movie, where you only certain period of time. It's not like eternally, like we sit and dwell on it. And then moreover, you get eventually bored, right? Like you go on a vacation, you're going to spend a little time in that place and enjoy it and whatnot, and then you come back. So
And the difference between a karma yogi, for a karma yogi, no matter if it's the same situation that keeps happening, his inner composure is the same. His composure, Shanti, is not dependent on the external situation. He is that Atma Rati. He is happy with himself. Whereas every other person, a sensual person, a karmi, is his happiness depends upon the external situation. That happiness point that we talk of, where your happiness then and then, when this happens, then I'll be happy. Whereas for a karma yogi, he is happy right here and now.
because he has all the senses and the mind, everything.
Everything under his check. So there's a mastery there.
So here, not having that.
like when we meditate or we do our sadhana, we don't get bored. Because at that time we are connecting with ourselves. So uh, rather when we miss it, we feel a bit low, and we feel something we have, like we are not complete. So this thing, like the more the sattvic things we are doing, we are we are getting addicted to them, rather I can say. And don't want to miss it, or you don't want to uh, leave it in between. So sensual pleasures, they have a limited end, whereas uh, connecting to the atma part, or you can say to your inner self, then it is limitless. Like you can go on and on for many lifetimes, like from past also, a person is doing now this life, and then again he'll be doing the other in the other life. So it would be limitless. It would it would never have an end until you reach that state of
Yeah,
enlightenment. Yeah.
talking about the past, in this verse actually said it doesn't matter what was in the past, you forget it, right? And whatever is present, even in the present, you are in that Ishvara, like you take Ishvara's order, or what is the dharma is as Ishvara, or dharma of Ishvara, or dharma that is Ishvara. So like then
Your dharma your Ishvara becomes your dharma, or our dharma is Ishvara. It's the same. Like,
yeah, it's the same. That's what the way it said here, Um, so you whatever you're doing it for the sake of Ishvara, not for sake of us, like sake of that phala, or sake of our desires, so that way, the more we do as for the sake of Ishvara, for the benefit of others, like benefit of the world, it's a loka sangraham, this really um uh, in the sense, uh, what is right, what is right, and again, properly doing that action is bringing out that happiness, or you feel right, you feel that shanti, then becomes your like it seemed like fulfilled, or uh, is that where he said it was you feel the whole or fullness and complete and all that. But then I thought that was only when you are jnana nishta, when you gain the knowledge, then you become feel full, and you self feeling and all that. If you, I mean, you are the self as well as self in others. Sarva Bhudatma Bhudat Sarva Bhuta Atma Bhuta Patma. I think it's really nice, when you participate in the discussion, it brings out every line of this sloka, remembering it. And I think more we do that, it'd be better for us, I think. And also try to do it at home as we are after leaving this class. So nice. So you have to do everything for the sake of Ishvara. Yoga Nishta, read about Yoga Nishta. So now is Jnana Nishta. So anyone else? Oh, I brought the time. Later one, I'm just okay. I was closing my eyes and talking, so I didn't look at the time. Sorry. Uh, shall I conclude the class then? Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om.
एकमेव द्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म निर्गुणं निश्चलं निर्विकारम् एकमेव द्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म अत्र वेदान्तमेव प्रमाणम् बोधक सद्गुरु तत्त्वनिष्ठः ईश्वरानुगृहीतेन वेद्यम् एकमेव द्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म ज्ञानगम्यं तुरीयं संहृतस्तम् आत्मरूपेण तत् ज्ञातम् सोऽध्वनः पारमाप्नोति सत्यम् एकमेवाद्वितीयं ब्रह्म ब्रह्मज्ञस्य तु ब्रह्मैव सर्वम् नास्ति मोहो भयं नैव दुःखम् तस्य स्वानन्दमग्नं हि चित्तम् एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म निर्गुणं निश्चलं निर्विकारम् एकमेव द्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म एकमेव द्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म ब्रह्मैव सत्यम्